Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I'm Just Here to Play Drums. So I'm a musician. I was playing a gig at a bar. It's a casual bar in a city, so I was dressed to look good, but I wasn't wearing tie or anything. It's casual. A friend of mine showed up, and during the set break we both went outside to smoke and were standing to the side of the entrance. We're hanging out, chatting, and then this group shows up and I make eye contact with the woman leading them. She's walking toward me and pulls her wallet out, then hands me her ID. My friend and I glance at each other and back to her. "I don't know about this, miss, this looks like a fake to me." She's completely dismayed. "No, I swear it's real, it's just a really old picture, and I wasn't having a good day that day," takes the heaviest sigh. "I swear it's real." My friend and I glance back at each other. We give each other a nod in agreement. So I turn back to her while all her friends are uncertain if their night's plans are about to change. "I'm just here to play drums, but thanks for sharing this with me," reads her name on ID Jane Smith. Then I proceed to give her the ID. She asked, "So I can go in?" "Yeah, sure. Why would I care?" "Are you an Matador man?" "No, I'm just here to play those drums over there." Points inside. "I'm playing a gig here tonight. I'm just on a break." Her friends lost it. She realized what just happened, started apologizing, and I told her it was totally fine and that I got a good laugh out of it. They all hung out for the music and tipped the band graciously. After the gig we had another good laugh and went our separate ways. The next story is titled Old Woman Thinks I Work at Pet Store. So this just happened not that long ago, and honestly, despite a lot of the stories on here, I wanted to add something wholesome. So I went to a pet store with my sister while my mother and other sister were at a different store next door with my niece. After grabbing nail clippers and treats for my rabbit, my sister had to go to the bathroom. So I said that I'd be at the cash registers checking out and meet her at the store next door. So there I was, standing in a pretty decently long line behind an old woman who was scrolling through her phone, when suddenly the old woman goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not in line." Then I say that it's fine and she moves herself with her cart out of the way next to the line. Then I hear her talking of herself, saying, "I wonder if they have that here. I don't know if they do. Where could the dog food be?" Now, I'm not the type to be nosy, but I looked around and noticed the store was greatly understaffed with only one woman on a register and another person on the other side of the store taking care of the fish. So I step out of line and go to the old woman and say, "Do you need help finding something, ma'am?" She then turns away from her phone and looks at me and says, "Yes, I believe I do. Do you have any of this dog food here?" And she shows me a photo of a brand of dog food. "I don't think there is that brand here, but we could check. Would you like me to show you where the dog food is?" The old woman then smiled and said, "Yes, I would, thank you." So I walked her to the dog food, checking all the brands, and sadly, as expected, they didn't. So I said, "Sorry, ma'am, I don't see it here. But I believe Walmart should have that brand." The old woman then thanks me, and as we walk back near the registers, she asked if I have a dog, what breed my dog is, and then explains that she was waiting for her husband to come with her little dog. Then as I was listening, she says, "I'm so sorry to interrupt your break with this." Then it hit me, she thought I worked there. So I said, "Don't worry, ma'am, I don't work here, but I have plenty of time on my hands to help." The old woman smiled and then thanked me again. After I got back in line, I stood behind a girl who was standing in the spot I had, and then the girl turned around and said, "It was nice of you to do that. Here, take your spot back." Then she goes to step aside, but I tell her it's fine since I had plenty of time. Oh, also, a couple minutes later while I was waiting in line, the old woman's husband came with their cute little dog, and I hear the old woman say, "Oh, there's my baby," and start petting her little dog in the cart. Then she sees me looking at her with the dog and says, "This is my husband and baby I was telling you about." And I said, "Oh, so this is the little one you were looking for food for," and asked to pet her, and I spent a minute petting the little dog named Bella and meeting a sweet old lady. It's not a story that you typically hear about, but I thought it was sweet, and meeting that old lady and her dog, and even that nice girl in the line, was a great start for the rest for the day. The next story is titled I Am the Owner. He is my son. Quick intro. This was a funny story that had happened to me a few years ago. My parents are one of the founders of a resort and is chairman of the board of directors. I have sat in a few of the meetings, so everyone knows that I'm boss son. I got homeschooled, so the majority of my friends are basically senior staffs and people in the board. Pretty sad, huh? Cast me. Noah RQ. I look a lot younger than my age, and being 5'7" doesn't help. Dad and mom. Fiance Julia. Sister Emma. Manager Jack. Crazy lady Karen. I was on vacation with my fiance Julia and my sister Emma. Julia, and Emma were staying at my dad's resort for a week or two because we were visiting my mother. As we entered the resort, I noticed the parking lot was packed. It was midsummer, and saw a few cars roaming around looking for parking spots. My family has a few private parking spots, and I noticed that his car wasn't here, but my mother's car was. As I walked to the reception, most of the staff know who I am. One of the staff working saw me and walked over to greet me. There were quite a people in line waiting to check in. Ma'am, Mom is currently in a meeting. Would you like me to bring your luggage to your room? Yeah, thanks. Julia kept a bag that had our swim clothes in. Sometime later, after a bit of swimming, we went to the restaurant to eat lunch. I had put on a blue shirt and was still in my gray swim trunks. The clothing looks similar to the uniform that the waiters were wearing. They were almost identical, except the only difference was that it didn't have the word staff on it. This will come in handy later. While we were chatting in the restaurant, I heard some lady say, "Hey you," rather rudely from somewhere behind me. I first thought it was just someone trying to get the attention of a waiter, so I continued chatting, eating with Julia and Emma. As I was shutting down some ginger ale after regretting trying my sister-in-law's food, which she purposely did not tell me was pretty spicy. She knows I don't handle spicy food well and probably never will. Can anyone else relate? Someone suddenly roughly grabbed my shoulder from behind, and I almost choked on my soda. Spitting it all over my sister. Straight up karma. I gotta say, haha, you were gross, was Emma's response, while my fiancé stood straight up and was about to ask me if I was all right. But here comes, you know who, Karen, interrupting my sweet fiancé. Babe, are you? I've been trying to get your attention for a while now, Karen yelled out. Me being someone who doesn't get mad, that easily looked up and asked her politely, "Do you need anything, ma'am? Why are you eating with the guests and not doing your stupid job?" Karen said. I caught him pretty quickly and knew that she thought I was a staff from what I was wearing, but I was getting a little annoyed from how much she was yelling at me while she was a foot away from me. "Ma'am, I don't work." I tried saying, "Shut up, I am a VIP here." Karen continued yelling. I continued to talk calmly to Miss Loudmouth while raising my voice a little. "Excuse me, I don't work here." Slap. "Don't you use that tone with me, brat." As she slapped me, her long nails cut into my cheek, leaving a long cut, and started bleeding. My fiancé almost went pale, seeing as blood started to drip off my face. My sister immediately started to call our mother to come. The manager was walking over when he heard Karen yelling, but then broke into a run and hurried over when he saw Karen slap me. "Ma'am? Noah, you all right?" Jack had said. Jack was someone who has worked for the resort for a few years, so he was pretty casual with me. My fiancé had put a piece of napkin on my cheek to try to stop the bleeding. "Are you the manager? I want this staff fired. He is unprofessional." "I don't know why you hired an idiot," Karen pointed at me and spoke as if she was the owner. "Ma'am, he doesn't work here." Jack started explaining, "You're trying to cover him. I want you fired as well." I never knew someone's face could get as red as a tomato until that day. I saw my mother running over with 2 security guards, and when she saw my fiancé holding a blood-red napkin against my face and Karen yelling at me, I thought she was going to explode as she rushed over to me. My sister had informed our mother about what was happening and what Karen had done. My mother almost yelled, "What on earth happened? Guards, arrest her." "What do you mean arrest me? Who are you to do that?" Karen was struggling in the guard's hands. "I'm the owner. You dare to slap my son." My God, the face Karen made when she heard those lines. I won't ever forget it, haha. She was as white as snow while her eyes and mouth were wide open. After she was taken away, some of the other customers started clapping. My mother ran up to me to see my face. She spoiled me when I was younger and was always defensive of me, as if she was a mother protecting her cub. She was the one who had me do homeschooling after she was told I was getting bullied in primary/middle school. After we had taken care of the cut on my face, which I ended up needing stitches for, no worries, the scar faded. My mother told me that Karen had been charged with second-degree assault and will be spending the following month in jail. The next story is titled, "I Just Got Fired." I never thought I would experience this in my lifetime. I'm a hard worker, extremely dependable and respectful. Not sure how I could lose a job like this, especially when I only just got it. So I work late, and just about every night for the last few weeks at least, I stop by Walmart to get something for dinner. I usually get off around midnight and stop by on my way home. Every time I'm at Walmart, barely anyone is there except for the night crew, stocking up the store and doing their own thing. Now, from what I have noticed, they don't have much of a uniform. Many of them are in hoodies or jackets of different colors. Just to add some context, I showed up last night and I'm wearing a hoodie. I begin to walk up and down the aisles trying to figure out what I want for dinner. I'm thinking pasta and walk past a few guys who are loading the shelves. All of a sudden, I start hearing this guy yelling. This voice gets louder. Hey ye, are you listening? I turn to look to see what is going on, and this guy approaches me. You're late again. Don't think I haven't noticed you walking in the door after 12. I begin to laugh, thinking this guy is joking around. Before I can even say anything, he jumps on me. You think this is funny? Your job must not be important to you. I want you to follow me to the office. Now I'm completely confused and start looking around like I'm on some hidden camera show. He starts to walk off and I turn around and go back to shopping. He comes back a minute later and starts to yell. You want to be fired, because if you don't come with me now, I will fire you. I start to laugh even harder, then ask him, what's my name? He gives me this puzzled look, so I asked him again, what's my name? Do you even know who I am? He looks at the other guys in the aisle, who have stopped stocking the shelves at this point to watch this event unfold. He then looks back at me, trying to figure out what exactly to say back to me before his head explodes. Good luck filing the paperwork to fire me, when you don't even know my name. I continue to laugh at this whole stupid charade. I pick up some ingredients for spaghetti, trying to give this guy a clue. He storms off and I look at the other guys in the aisle. I'm sure he will figure out eventually, I don't work here. They start laughing and I go on. Can't believe I lost the job I just found out I had in the same night. The next story is titled I Don't Work Here, and a venomous manager tried to write me up for it. Oh boy, I'm tired of being recognized. I live in a relatively small potted college town, with 3 grocery stores, a dying mall, and a slightly decent downtown. Because I work in one of those grocery stores and a pharmacy, I'm often identified when I'm out and about, and for some reason, I just look like I work there, wherever this mythical there is. This took place a few years ago, and since the manager is no longer with the store, I think I can write it up without retribution. I've got long hair, a beard, am a bit on the heavy side, and I normally wear rock t-shirts and a leather biker jacket when I'm not at work. I wear this like armor, as I'm actually very passive, and I don't want to be bothered when I'm out and about. I look tough, but there's nothing tough about my marshmallow soul. I've just finished watching a movie at our local dying mall, having gone myself since I just wanted to get away for a while, and am currently wearing a Doctor Who hoodie and jeans, hair down and a Guns N' Roses t-shirt. As I'm exiting the theater, I hear the dreaded voice, the entitled call of the snooty customer. Hey you. I turn around and see your average soccer mom, with bleached blonde hair and a purse big enough to brain a camel, carrying a large collection of trash. She's holding the trash with one hand, her struggling child with the other, and stares at me pointedly. I don't want to believe what's about to happen, but I steel myself. Yes. Throw this away. No please, no asking, just a demand. I glance to a trash can that's only 5 feet from where she's standing. Why? Oh, you'd think I just offered to split her child in half in front of her with a broadsword. You work at big box store, you're used to this. Amazing. She knows I don't work there, but she still thinks I'm put on this earth to serve her. I just roll my eyes and turn away, scooting towards the bathroom. Sorry, ma'am, gotta pee. And I do just that, taking a quick leak and a long time washing my hands. By the time I exit, the woman and her kid are gone. I figure that's all that's going to happen with this. Just some entitled person who thinks that I work in retail she can just treat me like an indentured servant. Oh boy, was I wrong. 2 days later, I'm back at work, cleaned up, hair in a ponytail, in uniform, just doing my thing slinging drugs at the pharmacy, when one of our most hated managers shows up. Let's call her Glad DOS. Mostly cause the antagonist of Portal is how she's always seemed to me. Passive-aggressive, snobby, and more than happy to toss her weight around. Why, Akali, would you come with me, please? I am a bit shocked, since I've not been in trouble with this job for over 5 years, and my mind immediately starts spinning through anything I may have done in the past week or so. GlaDOS takes me back to the manager office, picks up some papers, and has a seat. "Why, Kelly, I had a complaint about you the other day from a customer." I sink down, trying not to shake with panic. "What have I done?" "She says you were very rude to her at the movie theater the other day and refused to help her." Silence. I just blink a few times at GlaDOS. "I'm sorry, what?" GlaDOS repeats the accusation. "When you work for this company, you represent us, even when you're not on the clock. Now, I'm only going to give you a coaching, but I want you to watch what you do in the future." "No." GlaDOS looks back at me in shock. Did I just say no to her? "What do you mean, no?" I said, "No, I'm not taking a coaching for something that happened off the clock." I lean forward, folding my hands in my lap and glaring at her. "Why are there no other managers here? Why is my pharmacy manager not here? Shouldn't he be here when I'm being coached by someone that's not even over my department? Speaking of which, where's our department manager? Could you show me where in the Code of Conduct handbook it says I can't refuse to clean up after someone when I'm not on the clock? Doesn't it say in the training videos we watch when we start not to work off the clock?" GlaDOS is doing her best impression of a gaping fish by this point, eyes wide and staring back at me. I don't think she was expecting the happy-go-lucky nerd in the pharmacy to take such a hard line and not just roll over to her casual bullying. I stood up and opened the door. "If you want to take it up with my manager, please do. But do know that if I hear anything about this, I'll take this all the way to the store manager, your boss, corporate, if I have to." I left, shaking with anger. I'd heard others in the store idiot about this manager before and how she'd try to toss her weight around, but I'd never had it happen to me before. I don't know if the original customer was a friend of GlaDOS and she thought she'd get some revenge, but I never heard anything else on the matter. 2 months later, GlaDOS was let go in a store restructuring. Every other manager was shifted or reassigned, but she was the only one to be shown the door. The next story is titled "I Don't Give a Damn About Your Kid." I made the mistake of wearing khakis and a red shirt into Target once. I got asked so many questions, but just laughed it off. One lady though, I was looking at makeup, and this lady with her small child came running up to me. She asked where the bathrooms were and I told her I had no idea. She went from 1 to 100 and started screaming her child was about to have an accident, so I better get on my radio and figure the duck out. I said, "I don't work here and frankly I don't give a damn about your kid." She went stomping off, so I went to grab groceries. As I'm wheeling up to pay, the lady taps on my shoulder and says gleefully, "Remember me. You're getting fired." I look over to the manager who looks at me and says, "I don't recognize you. Do you work here?" When I said no, he looked really exhausted and said, "I'm sorry, ma'am. Enjoy your day." The crazy lady was still insisting he fire me as I was leaving. Poor guy. I've never made that fashion mistake again. The next story is titled "Karen Gets Put Down by a Soldier." So I, 25YM German soldier, was shopping some food for dinner at the local supermarket. Usually I stop there 2-4 times a week on my way home in full uniform. That is why often some elderly persons ask me to help them with things like getting them something from the top shelf or putting them a 6-pack of 15L water bottles in their cart, which is no problem for me at all, and often I ask them if they need help with putting it in their car, cause it's no big deal for me. Now to Karen, it was one day when I helped an old grandma putting some heavy groceries in her car, and after I finished I moved back to mine when I heard a lady behind me with that typical Karen voice. "Now that you're done, you can help me shopping." Me, who is irritated cause him dressed in full uniform, says politely, "No, sorry, I can't help you, as you can obviously see, I don't work here." That was not the correct answer. She gets louder and said, "I pay taxes, so you work for me." That is somehow true, but no, and I said that to her and started to move over to my car. That is when I felt a very hard grip on my shoulder, and out of reflex, I grabbed her arm and slammed her on the parking lot, which caused her a big bloody nose. After a lot of screaming from her and a large conversation with the shop staff and some surrounding PPL who called the police, who looked at the CCTV, I pressed charges on her for assaulting me, and she although got banned from the shop. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.